I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it, I feel it. He's cooking.
Valenwood is one of those places in Tamriel that hasn't been given the love it deserves. To be fair, it doesn't feature heavily in any Elder Scrolls game besides ESO, and chances are it won't host Elder Scrolls 6. Hammerfell and High Rock are the more likely destinations, being home to humans. If I were a betting man, I'd say the Somerset Isles are probably a third choice, which the Thalmor wants to call Alanor again, although all the anti-Thalmor rhetoric probably makes it a distant third choice. After them, we have the weird provinces, and without trying to sound too offensive, these are the ones that are so strange that Bethesda probably don't have the courage to do anything meaningful with them. I'm talking Blackmarsh, Elsewhere, and the topic of today's video, Valenwood. Valenwood is home to the Wood Elves, also known as Bosmer, and when most people imagine Valenwood, they probably think of Wood Elves from D&D or The Lord of the Rings. A druidic people who are in tune with nature, are elegant, graceful, merciful, and vegetarians. But no, that's not the Bosmer. I've been over this lightly in my last video, but long story short, the Bosmer are crazy. Absolutely crazy. And in my opinion, they have the most interesting culture among the people of Tamriel. The best way to explain this, though, is to begin with the Green Pact. Most of the craziness of the Bosmer comes from the Green Pact. Think of the Green Pact as the Bosmer's holy scripture. It's a set of rules about how they should live their life in Valenwood, and in return for following these rules, they receive the protection of Y'ffre. Now, while most pantheons have some form of Akatosh in charge of the pantheon, think Auriel, Alkosh, etc., the Bosmer put Y'ffre there, the spirit of the now, the god of song, and the forest. He's usually depicted as a big old walking tree called a Grat Oak, and is the one behind the rules of the Green Pact. Having looked at the Green Pact though, there might be some evidence he's a complete nutcase. So let's start with the green part of the Green Pact. In order to have Y'ffre's protection, the Bosmer cannot harm any plant life under any circumstance. Those who do are considered apostates and are treated similarly to how the Thalmor treat Talos worshippers. This influences every part of Bosmer culture, leading them to make weapons from bones. More interestingly, the Bosmer don't build houses, nor do they use roads. Roads were only built in Valenwood by the Empire after Talos conquered the place, although he largely let the Bosmer do whatever they wanted. Instead of building, the Bosmer sing to the forest, and this causes it to grow in ways that resemble buildings, such as pods for them to live in. This can make their settlements quite strange, in that they're built on Grat Oaks, giant trees the size of cities that move through the forest. Imagine if Bethesda had the balls to try and make this in a game. But it would be a pain trying to come back to a city that's moved halfway across the country. To be fair though, who wouldn't want to live in Valenwood with the Bosmer? They live in awesome moving cities, get on the property ladder by having a sing-song, and are all quite small to better climb trees. In fact, the males tend to be smaller than the females, so it could be the perfect place for all us short kings to visit.
Just realised.
What?
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Well, Valenwood isn't quite as nice as I've made it seem. The Green Pact comes with a pretty big caveat, and all the vegans out there should probably prepare themselves for the truly insane part of it, the meat mandate. The meat mandate is where things start getting weird. You see, the Bosmer can't harm plant life, and that obviously extends to them not eating them as well, essentially causing them to be extreme carnivores. They only eat meat, make tea and alcohol from fermented meat juices, like Rothmeth or Jaga, and smoke bugs in pipes instead of tobacco. This all seems relatively mundane, until we mention the massive elephant in the room. Cannibalism. Yep. The Bosmer are cannibals, and Elder Scrolls isn't the only game series to have cannibal elves. The Divinity series has them too, and both seem for religious reasons, although Divinity treats elven cannibalism as a misunderstood thing of beauty. The Bosmer of Elder Scrolls are a bit more want not waste not. After a kill, a Bosmer must consume the flesh of a fallen foe within 3 days. This extends to both animals and people, and the Bosmer seem to go full Liver King, eating the flesh raw. It doesn't seem like they have to eat an entire kill, although this largely depends on how much killing is done. In general, the Bosmer have an unorthodox relationship with life. Should a Bosmer die in the wild, it is seen as a rightful claim of the forest and a sacrifice to Ifre. Should a Bosmer kill another Bosmer, the tribe of the murdered can take the murderer and subject them to torture. Should the murderer survive the torture, then they are welcomed into the family, taking the victim's place. This is known as the mourning wall and is a long-standing tradition. But ironically, mourning doesn't seem to be part of a Bosmer's tradition. I mean, replacing the dead with their murderers is pretty metal. A lot of people outside of Valenwood see the Bosmer as barbaric for their traditions, and it isn't helped that they just raid Khajiit of elsewhere, as well as one another. Now, when I mean raid, I don't mean the Viking-style raiding you might be thinking of. No, Bosmer value the ability to steal, and many slip into settlements of other tribes to take the stuff unseen. The more valuable the thing stolen, the greater the prestige. It's why Bosmer are so associated with stealth and thievery. They are famed for a technique called forest coupling, where they're able to blend in with the woodland environments. This isn't even magic either, they just hide in the trees and don't come out until whoever they're hiding from is dead. While it's culturally accepted to steal things from each other in Valenwood, most other places aren't very happy about it. That didn't stop the Bosmer though, and when they started working up an appetite, they decided to eat everyone. The Bosmer are ruled by the Camoran dynasty, one of the few royal families still alive in Tamriel, but they did find themselves usurped by a member of this family, Haemon Camoran. Haemon went full sicko mode and violently freed the Bosmer from the Empire in about 2 years. He then decided to start taking land, getting all the way up to High Rock before being stopped. The Bosmer probably could have taken over all of Tamriel if they didn't have to eat everyone they killed. It doesn't make moving on from a battlefield very efficient if everyone you've killed needs to be eaten. The problem is, this large-scale invasion made the following years pretty bad for the Bosmer. After Haemon Camoran's death, Valenwood was fractured, not trusting the Empire or the Aldmeri Dominion, so they did a Trump and became isolationist after.
Too much winning!
The problem was, Trump was right. Not everyone was happy with all this winning. The Khajiit were sick of their caravans getting attacked, so they got the litter together and invaded Valenwood for 5 years. At the same time, the Thalmor invaded because, well, of course they did. Valenwood lost some of its territory, and was on the losing side of both invasions. But we don't know a lot about these invasions, and only one siege was properly recorded. The Aldmeri Dominion besieged Woodhearth, one of the more normal cities, famous for its melting pot culture and being the capital of the Green Shade region. The Dominion wanted to starve out the Bosmer, but they clearly didn't read the meat mandate's rules. It's pretty hard to starve people out when they see each other as food. Whenever things got tough, a Bosmer would eat his cousin. And not in the same way that you lot in Alabama do. This meant that there wasn't a realistic way for the siege to work. The Dominion would have to sit there and wait until literally the last Bosmer was left in the city. Still, Valenwood lost the war, and with the Aldmeri Dominion gaining power, it began to cleanse the land of the Bosmer, which, I mean, it's beginning to sound a little too similar to a certain Austrian painter. God, it's got dark. How do I make this lighter? People find monkeys funny, right?
Say his words! What a wonderful day!
The Bosmer aren't the only residents of Valenwood. It also hosts the Imga, an ape-like beast folk race. Well, I mean it did, until they vanished from the country. But the main thing about the Imga is that they love the Altmer. They held them in such high esteem that they tried to emulate them in every way possible. They would wear capes, dual swords, try to speak like the Altmer, and some would even shave themselves and powder their skin to look like members of the Aldmeri Dominion. Problem was, they'd often cut themselves when doing this.
What the fuck is this?
Ironically, the most famous member of the Imga was a prophet called Maruk, who hated elves with a passion. Seriously, this man makes Ulfric look like an elf lover. He could probably give Pelennor a run for his money. well, at least as far as passion is concerned, I don't think anyone's killing as many elves as Perennial did. Maruk was known as the Monkey Prophet, having founded the Lesson Order, popular religion during the First Age. Now, most of his teachings aren't followed anymore, but his approach to justice is still used in modern Tamriel, being all are guilty until they have proven themselves innocent. Which, I mean, why, is he trying to be like Japan? Maybe Maruk's just a weeb. Funnily enough, Maruk's teachings were called the Monkey Truth. No, I am not joking. Seriously, who names this bollocks? It doesn't even make sense. Maruk's an ape-man. They aren't the same as monkeys. Monkeys aren't apes. What's going on? Have you ever seen a school in Skyrim? No wonder no one knows the difference between a monkey and an ape. Maruk is not a damn monkey. Valenwood has more weirdness besides shaved ape-men. There are the Hollow, stone-like people who serve a godly figure known as the Wielder King, who many Bosmer and Greenshade follow instead of the Camoran King of Elden Root. Jesus! Anyway, all Hollows are male, and are made from the Wielder King's memories, so they probably aren't sentient, so I'm not sure they entirely count as a people. There are also werebats and werevultures, for some reason. Seriously, were the werewolves and bears not enough? Todd's out here fueling these furries. And apparently the werevultures became such a problem for Valenwood, they had to enlist werebears to help deal with the situation. Had they not, the werevulture infestation would have spread across Tamriel. Oh man, Elder Scrolls lore is so weird. It gets even more confusing when you look at Valenwood's capital, and its greatest tree, which is no joke, called the Elden Tree. Halt! Oh, is it gone? Anyway, it's also called the Great Tree or simply the Tree, and it's a gigantic grat oak in a forest of other grat oaks. It would be one of the greatest sights in Tamriel if we ever got to visit it in a proper Elder Scrolls game. I'm not trying to throw shade at ESO, it's just, I mean, it's a bit underwhelming. Still, Bethesda might have to rename the place. I'm pretty sure it can't keep its name after, well, you know what. Todd might have to do some retconning again. Anyway, thanks for watching, please subscribe, like and all that jazz, and I will see you later.